Cameron, you and I were talking the other day, and this summer you guys announced the formulation of the Independent Streaming Alliance, which I think to a certain extent is about kind of creating a collective strength amongst the independent and more niche oriented streamers. But I think on the other hand, something that I found interesting as I was looking into the formulation of the organization was that y'all were the first to get to be on the fast platforms. Like you were not just, you were there early. You were helped invent the platform for the most part. I think this is true. Mariam was saying this about the same thing is happening in Europe, where the smaller companies are more nimble, they're more innovative, they take bigger risks to a certain extent. But what was the idea behind it? A and B, why do you think the niche players got to fast first? And why do you think they were the groundbreakers in the ecosystem?
Yeah, look, it's a pleasure to be with this group. This is a group of folks we've worked, we're all living parallel lives. I like to say that all the time, but we've been living parallel lives for many, many years now in this space. And yeah, I think, Marion said it best. We're all innovators. Like if you're in a media business, you are constantly looking for new ways to reach audiences and to monetize your content. And in the early days, I was originally at a company called Jukin Media. In the early days, like we started our business on social. We were acquiring, curating content on social media. In the early days, that was amazing. The reach you could get on Facebook and YouTube was incredible. You could build a brand relatively quickly. The engagement was off the charts. And of course, then like normal, there are challenges that come with platforms as they sort of grow. And so over time, you start to look for new places. And part of our strategy was to always take our content, which could live in a variety of different places, and try to test it out. And I think I told this story to you, Evan, before, but I think it was 2014, 2015, we had folks like Pluto and Zumo coming to us saying they were going to launch something like this. To be honest, I was very skeptical just because of the type of content we had. And, launching these things is not easy. And I remember the Zumo guys basically carting at the time, flat screens were thick back then, carting it on their backs into our office to give us the demo. And I was blown away. And they were going to launch 25 channels. We were one of 25. I gave them some short form content, and we blew the numbers. I mean, I think we were in second out of 25 channels. So for me, like that was sort of a signal. And if you fast forward to today, we have a dedicated team, 50, 60 people. We're building programming specifically, long form programming specifically for fast channels. We have built out an entire team to sell and monetize that content. I mean, it's been incredible how that's happened. But all of us, each of us in this room, have had to navigate. That's the fun of doing these things. It is the Wild West, but we've had to navigate this world and overcome a lot of issues. And I think the whole point behind the ISA is a lot of us, while we've been the beneficiaries of being early and moving quickly and investing ahead of the curve, we're all starting to see where there's some challenges coming down the road. And we all believe deeply in this ecosystem. We see huge opportunities, but we've started to highlight to others who maybe aren't seeing it, look, there's some problems out there. And we think this group can help at least start that conversation. The ISA is a collection of, I think, 10 to 15 independent companies. We're going to be adding a lot more to that list. But we're all trying to tackle different things. And we're focused really in 4 areas. We're looking at distribution, challenges around distribution. There's a lot of platforms now. There's a lot of channels. Like how do you, discovery is something we should probably talk about as an example. We're looking at demand and how, media is sold and bought and distributed. We're looking at measurement. Measurement's a huge issue for advertisers and platforms and programmers alike. We're looking at diversity because we represent a lot of underrepresented audiences.
Right.
And so, look, it's early days. Like you said, we just announced this in June, but we're really bullish on the fast space, but we realize like the next layer of growth, we're going to have to solve some of these problems to really unleash the big opportunity in front of us.
Yeah, and Chris, I think so first, the niche programmers got to fast first. First from a kind of just need. I need to find new ways to monetize this content. But then secondarily, you know, smaller and more nimble companies are more able to innovate. And I think, you know, part of what the ISA wants to do is, you know, create some leverage for the smaller players, but pushing the innovation through the ecosystem is a big part of the initiative that you're trying to create here, correct?
True that. And, you know, not just in our business and media business, but virtually in every industry, small companies are nimble and small companies innovate. Large companies pay dividends. You know, it's not in their DNA to go out on a limb. When we launched originally up here in Canada, we were a pay television channel on cable and satellite. At that time, I had to lease time on somebody else's master control system because it was prohibitively expensive for me to build my own for one channel in one country. We now have multiple channels in multiple languages going, as I said before, to 162 countries on over 40 platforms, from what amounts to a well-ventilated broom closet with a rack of computers in. The streaming technology was just this joyous opportunity to bring a brand and bring content to the world without having to go through the predictable gateholders or gatekeepers who would shut things down and make sure that their stuff got up there first. It was really phenomenal. If you had told me 10 years ago that Gusto would be on in as many countries as it is, I would have said, put your drink down, you've had enough. On one hand, you know, as Cameron was saying, it's the Wild West. It's been a crazy ride so far. I remember talking to the Pluto guys when they were working out of a shared office space over a bodega in Manhattan, you know, before they actually got to have an office. So that's been great. That's been tremendous. But as Cameron says, you know, it's time to take a look at where the whole thing is going and put some best practices in place.